Retirement planning. It can seem a million miles away, until suddenly it's not. But getting ahead of the game, that's the key. We've got Eric's awesome YouTube channel, Time to Retire, to walk us through it. He's got these 4 scenarios, really gets you thinking. So we're going to dive deep into all things pensions, annuities, drawdown options, the whole shebang. You'll be fluent in retirement planning by the time we're done. Let's kick things off with Tom. Tom's about to hit the big 6-6, and he just got some pretty exciting news from, well, HMRC, right? They're kind of like the tax wizards over in the UK.
Right, you are. Tom got a letter saying he's all set to claim his full state pension.
Full pension. That's the dream, isn't it? But what does that even mean, like, practically speaking, when it comes to retirement?
It means Tom's been super diligent with his national insurance contributions. Think of those as like the building blocks of your state pension.
Right.
Most people pay into this system through their wages, and after 35 years of paying, in which Tom here has done, boom, you hit the jackpot, the full amount.
So Tom's going to get a nice little check from the government every year just for, well, being a stand-up citizen. Not too shabby, Tom. How much are we talking here?
For Tom, it's £11,500 every year. But get this, Eric mentioned he could choose to hold off on taking his pension. It's a strategy, right? Because for every year he waits, that pension amount actually goes up. Could be a smart move if he's feeling good and figures he's got a long retirement ahead of him.
Patience is a virtue, they say. But waiting for your money, tough call. I guess it boils down to your own situation and how long you plan on sipping those retirement cocktails, right?
100%. Now, here's the good news. Claiming your state pension. Piece of cake. Tom can do it online or just make a quick phone call. And Tom won't be paying a dime of tax on his state pension. That threshold means you can earn a certain amount each year before taxes kick in. For a lot of retirees, it covers their entire state pension.
Hold on. Rewind tax-free threshold. That sounds like something everyone should know, not just us folks nearing retirement.
You know what? You're absolutely right. Knowing about the tax-free threshold is smart, no matter how old you are. It's basically the amount of money you can earn in a year before the tax man comes knocking. For most people in the UK, it's around £12,570 a year, but always double-check the latest figures just to be safe.
Good to know. Okay, so Tom's sitting pretty with his state pension. No need to worry about the tax man taking a bite. Speaking of taxes, Eric briefly mentioned something called pension credit. Is that something Tom should be thinking about?
Great question. Pension credit is kind of like a safety net. It's for retirees who might need a little extra help to make ends meet and make sure everyone has a certain standard of living, even in retirement. But to qualify, they look at your total income and savings, and since Tom's state pension is more than that threshold, he wouldn't be eligible.
So it's more for those who might need a little boost to get by.
Exactly. But even if you don't qualify right away based on just your state pension, they also factor in things like your partner's income, housing costs, all that goes into the mix. Definitely worth checking out if you think you might qualify.
Let's switch gears for a sec. Meet Sarah. She's in a bit of a different situation than Tom. She's got a cool £310,000 saved up in her company pension, and she's thinking about this thing called an annuity. I'll be honest, I've never fully grasped what those are all about.
Think of annuities like creating your very own personalized pension plan. Instead of getting regular checks from your old employer, you hand over a lump sum to an insurance company, and they promise you a fixed income stream, either for a set number of years or even for the rest of your life.
So it's like setting up your own guaranteed paycheck for retirement. I could see why that would be appealing, especially for someone who likes things predictable,
Exactly. And Sarah is already one step ahead, shopping around for the best deal, just like you would with any big financial decision.
Of course. Always got to shop around, right?
Yeah.
Find what works for you. Now, are there different flavors of annuities out there?
There are a few, yeah. But the one that really applies to Sarah, the one she's interested in, is called a life annuity, sometimes called a guaranteed annuity. That one throws off a fixed income for the rest of her life. Talk about peace of mind. No matter how long you live, that income keeps flowing.
A guaranteed income, huh? For life. Where do I sign up? But there's got to be a catch, right? Like, what are the potential downsides here, things Sarah should really think about before jumping in?
You're right, every rose has its thorns. With a life annuity, the biggest risk is, well, it's a bit grim, but it's longevity. Or rather, the lack of it. Say Sarah buys this annuity and then unfortunately passes away sooner than expected. Her estate might not get the full value of what she put in, kind of like buying a lifetime movie pass and only getting to see a couple of films.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's a bit of a gamble on how long you'll be around to enjoy those guaranteed checks.
That's the trade-off, right? But on the flip side, if Sarah's one of those lucky folks who lives a long, healthy life, she's going to keep getting that fixed income year after year, no matter what the stock market's doing. That's got to be worth something, that peace of mind.
I can see that. No more obsessively checking your portfolio every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, those application forms Sarah mentioned sounded pretty intense.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
Well, insurance companies, they're all about assessing risk, right?
Yeah.
And with these annuities, how long you're going to live, that's a major factor in figuring out how much to pay you. All those nitty-gritty questions about your health, your lifestyle, it's them trying to figure out your life expectancy as accurately as possible.
So it's all about painting a picture of your overall health and how long you're likely to be kicking around. Makes sense, I guess. Kind of like applying for life insurance.
Yeah. You got it. Now, before we move on from annuities, one more thing Sarah needs to keep in mind. Annuity rates. These things fluctuate all the time based on, well, a whole bunch of factors. Interest rates, what the market's doing, so it pays to shop around, get quotes from a few different providers to make sure she's getting the best possible deal.
It's like finding a cheap flight. A little bit of research can go a long way. Next up on our retirement planning adventure is Mark. He's going down a different road. The drawdown pension account. So break it down for us. What is drawdown all about, and how does it stack up against annuities?
Annuities. They give you that steady, predictable income, right? Well, drawdown's all about flexibility and control. Imagine it like a special bank account just for your pension. The money stays invested so it can still grow, and you get to decide how much you want to take out and when.
Sounds pretty hands-on. I can see that being attractive to someone who likes managing their own money, maybe even trying to grow it a bit, even in retirement. But isn't there more risk involved too?
You hit the nail on the head. With drawdown, the responsibility shifts. It's not on the provider anymore. It's all on you. You're basically your own pension manager now. That means making smart investment choices and being careful about how much you withdraw. You got to make that money last.
More control, more risk.
Yeah.
Classic trade-off. Now, there's this perk that caught my ear. The whole 25% tax-free lump sum thing Eric mentioned. Is that legit, or is there a catch?
Oh, it's totally legit. When you hit retirement age in the UK, the system says you can withdraw up to 25% of your pension pot and you don't pay any taxes on it. Pretty sweet deal, if you ask me. But there are some details, some ins and outs of how this tax-free allowance actually works.
Oh, I'm all ears. Give me the nitty-gritty.
So that 25% tax-free amount, they calculate it based on your uncrystallized funds. Sounds complicated, but it's just the portion of your pension pot that hasn't been taxed yet.
So when you contribute to your pension, the government's basically like, we'll tax you on that later. So this 25% withdrawal, it's like getting a little refund on all those years of delayed taxes.
Exactly. Now here's where it gets a bit tricky. Once Mark dips into his pension pot, takes out that tax-free cash, it changes how they classify his remaining funds. That initial amount, let's say it's £100,000, that was all uncrystallized. But by withdrawing that £25,000, he's crystallized that portion.
Okay, so crystallized means it's been taxed, and uncrystallized is like that untouched treasure chest, still eligible for the tax-free treatment. Got it.
You're getting it. So the remaining £75,000 is now considered crystallized, and any money it makes interest, dividends that'll be taxed as income.
Good to know. Now, does Mark have to take the entire 25% all at once, or can he be strategic about it, spread it out a bit?
He's got options. Mark could decide to take smaller chunks of that tax-free lump sum over time. Could be a smart move tax-wise, especially if he's still working part-time or has some other income coming in during those early retirement years.
So many things to consider. Timing is everything, right? Drawdown sounds super flexible. I can see the appeal. But Eric also mentioned the whole running out of money thing. That's a scary thought. What are some ways to make sure that doesn't happen? to avoid outliving your savings.
That's the million-dollar question, or should I say the 100,000-pound question in Mark's case.
So how can Mark make sure his drawdown nest egg lasts, for the long haul?
It's all about planning, being smart about it, and honestly, a financial advisor, worth their weight in gold. They can help Mark figure out how much he can safely withdraw each year, taking into account how long he's expected to live, how much risk he's comfortable with, what his goals are. It's like pacing yourself in a marathon, right? You don't want to sprint out of the gate and then hit a wall.
Makes sense. Got to find that balance, enjoying your retirement, but not blowing through your savings in the first 5 years.
Exactly. And besides just how much you're taking out, it's also about how that money is invested, diversifying, they call it. Spreading your money around. Different things like stocks, bonds, maybe even property helps manage that risk and hopefully even grow your money over time.
So a little bit of everything, like a balanced breakfast sets you up for a good day. Or good retirement, in this case. Drawdown's got a lot going for it, but it's definitely not a set it and forget it kind of thing. Lots to think about. Now, last but not least, let's rewind the clock a bit. Meet Lucy. Lucy's got this thing called a defined benefit pension plan, sometimes called a final salary pension. It's like the holy grail of retirement schemes. What makes them so special, and how do they actually work?
Defined benefit plans, they're different from Sarah's plan, those defined contribution plans. With these, you don't have to guess how much you'll get in retirement. They guarantee a specific pension payment. It's based on your salary, how much you were making when you retired, and how long you worked for the company. All calculated with a formula, and no need to stress about the stock market or anything.
It's like this safety net you've been weaving throughout your career, right?
Yeah.
Work hard, contribute, and then boom, guaranteed income for life. Sounds pretty straightforward, but how do they crunch the numbers, figure out how much you actually get?
It's all in the formula, like I said. It's different for every plan, but a common way is they take a chunk of your final salary, let's say on the 60th, and multiply that by the number of years you were part of the plan. So just as an example, say Lucy's final salary was £60,000 and she paid into this plan for 30 years. Her annual pension would be £30,000.
Whoa, £30,000 a year. Guaranteed. Sign me up.
But Eric mentioned Lucy's getting £19,200 a year, not £30,000. What's going on there?
Right, so that was just a hypothetical example, how the basic formula works. Lucy's actual final salary, the year she worked, all that it worked out to a pension of £19,200 per year. And get that amount, it gets adjusted for inflation.
Inflation adjustments, that's the dream. So as prices go up, her pension payments go up too. You got it. A lot of these defined benefit plans, they have that built-in protection against inflation. Make sure your money keeps up with the cost of living. Now, even with a defined benefit plan, you've still got choices. Just like with drawdown, Lucy has the option of taking part of her pension pot as a tax-free lump sum.
So even with a guaranteed income, you can still get a chunk of cash up front.
Yep. It's all about tailoring it to your own situation. But there's a trade-off. For every £15,000 Lucy takes as a lump sum, her yearly pension payment goes down by £1,000.
The age-old dilemma. Take the money and run or play the long game.
Exactly. Lucy, she decided to take a £45,000 tax-free lump sum, means her annual pension will be £16,200.
You need to finally take that dream vacation, right? Even with a plan like this, it's still about making choices, figuring out what works best for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's the big takeaway from all these different scenarios, isn't it? There's no one right way to do retirement planning. Whether it's the simplicity of a state pension, the guaranteed income of an annuity, the flexibility of drawdown, or that gold standard defined benefit plan, the best choice. It all comes down to your situation, your risk tolerance, and what you envision for those golden years.
Tom, Sarah, Mark, Lucy, 4 people, 4 very different retirement journeys. It's been awesome diving into their stories with you, really getting a handle on all the ins and outs of pensions, annuities, and drawdown. Lots to think about.
Absolutely. And I think what really struck me is how important it is to be proactive. Retirement might feel ages away, but understanding your options, knowing what's out there, it can make all the difference in having a comfortable, financially secure future.
Couldn't agree more. And hey, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by it all, don't hesitate to call in the Cavalry, a qualified financial advisor. They can give you personalized advice, help you navigate the world of pensions, investments, all that good stuff.
Think of it as an investment in your peace of mind. Having an expert on your side makes that journey to retirement a whole lot smoother.
Absolutely. All right, as we wrap up our deep dive here, one last thought to leave you with. Knowing what you know now about these different retirement scenarios, what steps can you take today to start planning your own golden years? Something to ponder. Until next time, happy planning.